Hey everyone, welcome to Daddy Chats. This is episode number 23, and today I'm joined by Hannah. Hannah had a heart transplant in 2019, and she's also very keen on traveling. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. How are you, Hannah?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So I was having a look because you've also got a blog, haven't you, called, let me get this right, Travels, Tea and Transplant.
Yes, that's
Yes,
right. Mouth.
yeah. I've been saying it over and over, and I keep getting it all mixed up.
Me too, still.
Yeah, but it's a really interesting blog, and so sort of going back to the beginning of your transplant story, you said that you in 2019 or before 2019, you hadn't had any health issues.
Nothing at all. I'd been completely well. No family history or anything. Just living my life.
Yeah. So what led you to needing to go to hospital?
So I'd spent about, I don't know, 5 weeks feeling really unwell, and I just thought it was a chest infection, and then I had symptoms of Norovirus, so I ended up just kind of crashing at home. People would drop food at my door and run away. And I got to a point where I was just throwing up too much. I couldn't breathe properly. I couldn't sleep because every time I laid down, I was coughing. The GPs weren't doing anything. They just kept sending me away with more antibiotics. So I got fed up, and I just had to take myself to A&E.
Yeah. Was you living alone at that point?
Yeah, I was living alone. So I got to a point where I couldn't be by myself anymore, couldn't cope. So I just went to my mum's and stayed there for a week. And then after a week there, I just said, Mum, take me to hospital. Something's not right. We didn't know what. We just still thought it could be a bad infection. Mum thought I might have pneumonia. We had no idea. And then when we got there, they kind of looked pretty worried straight away. Rushed me to a side room, and then that was that.
Yeah. So that you're not right if you're living alone and you're like, I can't even stay alone at the moment.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it must have been worrying. And then you went to hospital, and then did you not come back out until after the operation was done, or did they send you home?
I was in our local hospital, and they had me for about 4 days. The day after I woke up there, they said that I was in heart failure, but with medication, I might be able to, and like maybe a month's rest, I might be able to go back to a relatively like normal, whatever that is, life. So that was a shock, but we were like,
Yeah.
okay. And then they started giving me some medication, and I crashed immediately. So I think after 4 or 5 days there, they sent me in an ambulance to a heart and lung hospital. And I was there. Yeah, so I was there. They sent me home in the middle for 2 weeks to try and get me to be okay on tablet therapy, but it didn't work. So I was pretty much in hospital the whole time, apart from 2 weeks, so about 4 months.
Yeah, and you're in your 20s, is that right?
Yeah, I'm 30 now, but yeah.
You were in your 20s at the time.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, so that must have been
Yeah.
incredibly shocking for you and your family.
Yeah, I mean, I think we took it, and we just had to run with it because it was what
Yeah.
was happening. But I think the whole time we were just in shock. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then so you went through that and you crashed again, and then there must have been talks of the transplant.
Yeah, so I mean, they mentioned it a couple of times in passing in the first couple of months, but it was always like that will be the last resort. We don't need to think about that yet. So, even for us then, it was like, well, that's not, we don't even need to worry about that. And then I think kind of after all the tests, everything that they did, they sent me home. They fitted me with an ICD, and it didn't work. And then that's when we knew. When I was at home for those 2 weeks, I had to come back up for clinic after a week, and everything just looked awful, all my blood work. And they said, go home for a few days, but come back in for a procedure. But be prepared that after that procedure next week, you might have to stay in for the long haul. And we knew then that it would be transplant.
Yeah, so you had like a pacemaker fitted. Was that
The
I
ICD,
see.
it's like a defibrillator. It's a different type, so it goes in the side, and you have to fit certain criteria to get it. So they did the procedure just before they sent me home for those 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then that was there until I had the transplant.
Wow. So that's like, again, something so new to you, not having anything, no operations or anything.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd had general anaesthetic was when I had the ICD, and
Wow.
I took to it so badly I was like projectile vomiting for days.
Oh no, not
No.
what you need, is it? In the little plastic bowls that they have, or the little brown
the
sort of bowls.
the toilet bowls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And, you're having to give it to the nurse. This is another one full.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So then you got put on the list, and so can you remember the time that they said we're going to put you on the list? And
Yeah, so I think basically the day after I got readmitted, they said it's probable, but they had to have a few meetings and work it out. And then in the meantime, they had to get me to a dentist because I had to have my teeth checked before they could actually put me on the list. And so it took a couple of weeks or so. And then the day that they told me, my brother came up and my best friend came up, and we obviously knew, so it wasn't a shock. It was almost a relief, to be honest.
yeah, yeah.
I don't want to be unwell anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, how was you actually feeling physically? Obviously, emotionally and mentally, it's tough. But how was you feeling physically?
It was on and off. So I had an IV drip throughout, milrinone, which was a bit of a lifesaver. It actually was a lifesaver, but it made me feel well. So when I was on that, it was pretty good. But I did get sick quite a lot in between. So I had quite a few infections that I picked up, and I got sepsis and I got MRSA while I was there. So in those times, I felt awful, and it was just that nausea. Couldn't eat, couldn't really sleep, couldn't really do much. But when those times had passed, generally I felt all right. But it was
Yeah.
the IV, the drugs.
But you knew that the heart transplant was the right thing, and it was something that you kind of knew that would help you get better.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they because they said it sporadically. By this point, it was like we need some movement. We need to do something because I was going downhill, I think, drastically.
Yeah, yeah. And then how long were you on the transplant list for?
It was 6 weeks in the end. They said to me, they gave me a bracket of 3 to 6 months because of my height and my weight and everything. They said around 3 to 6 months. So in my head, I thought if I can stick it out for 6 months, 6 months is my my limit, and then see how we go. So it was much quicker in the end.
Yeah, and what was I going to say? So 6 months, like I had the kind of the same sort of thing. They said to me, I think they said to a year. So I had set in my head that it was going to be a year. That no sooner the year was going to be the thing.
It makes it much easier, doesn't it, to just think, okay, I've got 6 months to fill.
Yeah.
And it helps with the road to that point, I think.
Yeah, and was you in hospital the whole time, or was you back home? You was in hospital the whole time. And was it the first heart come along, the one that you had, or did you have a few?
I had 2 failed calls. So I had one and it couldn't go ahead. I think that would have been that was the DCD heart, and it didn't stop pumping in time or something, so they couldn't go ahead with that one. And then the second one which was actually the day before I actually had my transplant, so I had 2 calls within 2 days. So the day before one, the heart was too small for me.
Yeah. And while you were in hospital, like, was you well enough to be on your phone? Did you look at anything, any information, or did you research heart transplants? Did you try and find other people that had them, or did you kind of just? Because I could imagine, it's so stressful that at the time you might not want to do that. You're just trying to get through each day as it is.
I was well enough to have my phone, and I did the odd Google, which wasn't really very wise.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did meet a few people through Instagram, just people. I just needed to find people that were around my age that had gone through it or that were going through it, because, all the data and all of the patients, the lovely patients that I did meet in hospital, were all so much older than me. And when you're told transplant, you kind of think your life's over. That's it.
Yeah.
So I needed the evidence to see that there were people living and actually living.
Yeah, and is that why you kind of wanted to start your blog as well?
Yeah, so there's one blog that I read in hospital. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a Change of Heart blog. It's by Elaine, and reading that helped me massively while I was in hospital. So I just thought, if I can help anyone that's doing something similar, then I might as well.
Yeah, I think the more people that share their stories, it works on two levels. It works on the people see how important it is to become an organ donor, and like you say, it helps the people that are pre-transplant and wondering how it's going to be. Because also, like you said as well, I mean, a lot of the patients that you speak to or see in general are older patients. So and yeah, so when it happens to someone so young, you're sort of thinking, geez, what's my life? How long is it going to last for? Is it going to just be a 2-year thing, a 5-year thing?
Yeah, and that's a huge thing as well, isn't it? Like life expectancy and stuff.
Yeah, and I suppose, I mean, I've spoke to people with liver transplants that have done 30 something years, and I suppose hearts are pretty much have got to be the same, really.
Yeah, there's people that I'm seeing like every day that are posted on like the transplant pages and stuff saying that they're celebrating 37 years, and which gives me hope, because like you look at the averages online and it's very low. But it's different for everyone. So I'm hoping to 40 years time still be going.
I think, like you said, it's definitely possible. So that's great, and it's great to share all that information with other people.
Yeah.
And I saw that you travelled for 18 months. I take it that was sort of before your operation.
Yeah, that was after I finished university. I spent 15 months saving after uni, working and saving, and then I just went off one way ticket.
Where did you go? Where did you start?
I started in America, so a couple of weeks in California, which was amazing, and then Fiji, New Zealand, Australia, and then I came back via Hong Kong, and then I came home and surprised everyone at home, and then I left again and went to all around Southeast Asia, back to Australia, and ended in Sri Lanka.
Really, that's awesome. So good. I mean, I travelled when I did kind of a similar thing, but I did Europe mainly for just under a year. But I mean, did you travel alone?
I went on my own, yeah.
Yeah, obviously you meet tons of people while you're doing it, of course.
Yeah, met loads of people, travelled with different people for the first year, and then after I came home and left again, I went with a couple of girlfriends and we did Southeast Asia together, and then we went our separate ways again from there.
Yeah, I mean, how would you find it? Because it's very different, I think, for men and women to go. I don't think it's different, and I think it is just as safe for women, but I think some women are quite frightened. And I met loads of girls and females that were traveling alone, and obviously they were fine. So, what would you say to someone that was thinking about it that might be just a bit worried? Their friends don't want to go, but they really want to go.
I think, well, for me, it's the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
People told me not to go, and said that, it would be unsafe, or that, I should get a job and carry on working, whatever.
Yeah, don't do that.
And now that I've had my transplant and everything's kind of changed, I was glad anyway, but I'm so happy, because I might not have had that chance. So I just think if anyone does want to do it, just do it if they can. I think it is different for men and women, and I think you have to think more about where you're going and what you're doing, but it is possible, and there's so many people doing it that as soon as you're out there and as soon as you meet people, you get caught up in it all, and you become friends with people, so you're not on your own. So
that's it.
Yeah, if anyone wants to do it, just do it.
The first hostel you stay in, that's it. You just meet tons of people, don't you?
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, that must have been such a good time. And so now you've had your transplant, you say, would you do it again? Like, would you do that whole trip again, knowing what you know, after your transplant? Would you be happy to do it?
I think I would. I mean, this is 7 years ago that I went. I still would stay in hostels. I love hostels. But I think potentially, like, I would suss out clean
I went to,
hospitals than I did before.
yeah, I went to Thailand for a month, and this was in 2018, the year before my transplant. And I was traveling around again, but I mean, it was so cheap. I just stayed in hotels. I was like, I'm not staying in hostels anymore. I've done that.
I've done that.
I've done that.
I think I'd go with a different mindset and yeah, pick out better, maybe cleaner places to stay. And also, I think I haven't actually travelled since my transplant because you can't travel, or I was told I couldn't travel for the first year.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit. So I'm desperate to get on a plane. But I think that first trip, I might be a little bit nervous, and, sorting out tablets and medication and making sure that I've got enough and that they're on me and everything. And then obviously insurance as well. There's all of that to look at, which I'm intrigued to see prices and stuff. But I can't wait to be on an aeroplane.
Yeah, I think if you go on like one of the Facebook pages and just say like I'm looking for insurance, there's tons of people with advice on who to get insurance with, because I've spoke to people that have gone all over the world, and they've managed to get insurance, and so I don't think it's too much of an issue.
No, it'll be good. And then the other thing is, I don't know if you've spoken to anyone, but I know there's certain places that they say that you should be more wary of to go to in case of illness and infection and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I went to Thailand on the second to last day, I got food poisoning because but I was eating from street stalls the whole way through, and there was definitely some places that I was eating. There was like cats running rounds and all sorts. So looking back now, if I was to do that, I would happily go to Thailand again, but I would just be a bit more picky about where I was going to eat. So yeah, I think it's like you say, it's just being cautious. And then there's certain places, like certain South American countries, you need yellow fever jab. Yeah. And we can't have a yellow fever jab because it's a live vaccine.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
there's no. I was actually reading something about that, I think, the other day, because there's no way around that either, is there?
No, I don't think. I mean, I've not looked into it. You might be able to get a medical exemption card, but then it's like, do you want to take that risk? I suppose. Because I'm like planning a trip to Panama.
Oh,
so yeah, one of my friends has moved there. She's been there for about 5 years now. And yeah, and I said to her, do I need the yellow fever jab? But they're not that far south, so
okay.
So there's still plenty of places to go.
Yeah. It's just it's like you said, it's common sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
Using your brain.
Yeah, and like you say, just try and stay in places that are a bit cleaner than what you would have pre-transplant.
Yeah, pre-transplant and younger.
yeah, younger and carefree.
Yeah.
What was did you have the best place you went to? Because everywhere's different, isn't it? So
I fell in love with Australia, but I spent over a year there, and I worked and I lived and I made some incredible friends. So I did love Australia, but I mean everywhere was so different, and I think it was, you just get caught up in the buzz, so everything feels amazing and everything's new, and the adventure and the experience. I loved traveling in Southeast Asia. Vietnam was amazing.
That's where I want to go. Yeah,
incredible. Yeah, so many places, but yeah, Australia's special to me, I think, because I kind of became part of a community there, and it was lovely.
Yeah. Had you ever thought about like moving away from the UK?
Yeah, I always think about things like that. Even now, I think I've got a lot of family and friends here, so I think I always thought Australia was too far, because as much as I would love it, I think you can't just pop home. And I'm up for another big trip at some point soon, hopefully. But I don't think I could be away for years and years and completely pack up and move.
So that's the reason why it's not because you've had your transplant, because I've always kind of had this thought eventually of moving away from the UK, finding a tiny little beach somewhere, like somewhere like Bali or something. But now I've had my transplant, I'm like, in 30 years time, I've got to be somewhere that's maybe a bit more stable.
Yeah, and that is also a factor, isn't it? I suppose, but people do it.
Yeah, of course.
So I suppose as well, you've got to look at where you're moving. You've got to look at the healthcare situation, what you're going to be paying. I mean, I don't even know. Sorry, my dog.
There, go and get him. Okay. Oh, look, there he is, little sausage dog.
Say hi.
He's cute. He's tiny.
He is tiny. Say hi, Huey.
Hi, Huey. Oh, if anyone's going to be listening to the podcast, they're not going to be able to see. Unlucky.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
You can post a picture.
Yeah, my dog's just asleep on the sofa. We went out for a really long walk this morning, so she's chilled.
Oh, bless. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I don't know how Americans do it. Like,
No, I often have this because obviously it's so stressful being told that you're going to have an operation and then to be told that you need to find the money for it afterwards would just,
yeah.
And for parents have to find it as well. They'd be like breakdown.
And then carry on paying like for all your medication individually for years.
Yeah. Yeah. What medication are you on?
I'm down to 11 tablets a day.
11.
11. My anti-rejection ones are tacrolimus and the MMF. And then
MMF.
mycophenolate.
Okay. I don't think many people I've spoken to are on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not that I can remember.
I don't know much about. I'm useless. I said that I had no illness pre-2018. So now the medication and tablets, I'm very good at taking them and getting them organised. I have no idea really what they do. I just take them.
No, well, I've been taking tablets since I was 14, 15, and I'm exactly the same. The doctor said, these are the tablets you got to take, and I was like, fine with that, I'll just take them.
I know,
yeah.
It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not very good for patient advocacy.
No. Well, I was on codeine for years, and I was literally just taking it. It did get to a point because I didn't realise it was addictive either, and I was kind of just taking it for fun. And this was all through my teens. And then I realised, I read somewhere that it was highly addictive, and I wasn't in pain. So I just said to the doctor, I was like, you've got to take me off this. You can't just keep giving me this. I can't believe they never even reviewed it.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Because even when you buy it when you get it from the pharmacy, it has a warning thing on there, like don't for more than 5 days, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I was on it for years, like years and years, and I was like, I can't be on this for long, anymore. Take me off it, please. Yeah, but yeah. So, how many tablets were you on when you came out of hospital? Because, like I say, I mean, for me, I remember when I first got given tablets, it was all a surprise and a shock, and you're like, how am I going to deal with all of this? And
yeah. It's quite scary, isn't it? I think I can't remember now. I think I was on over 35 a day.
That's so many.
So many. And I always have this joke, and it's so ridiculous. It must just be like a joke that people make when they take all this medication. But the day when you can take them all at once.
Yeah.
It's a great day. It's like look at me go.
One by one, and then you get some that just taste horrible. And have you got did you have anything that you had to dissolve in water?
Oh, the magnesium. I don't anymore. They were horrific.
Oh, yeah. I remember because I hadn't been in hospital for quite a while, and then I remember they gave me the magnesium, and I put it in a glass, and I filled the glass up with water, and then I took one sip, and I was like, oh no, now I've got to drink this whole glass.
Yeah, because they say they do half and just try and neck it.
That's it, and I soon learned the smallest bit of water you can put in there, and then just do it like a shot, just to get rid of it. That is absolutely disgusting.
Do you have to take potassium?
Yes, yeah.
That was disgusting as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, mine are all pretty okay now. I take pravastatin at night, and that if you leave that in your mouth for too long, that's pretty vile. Get it gone.
And so, how's the scar and everything healed for you?
It's okay. It's what's the word? It's me not knowing my medical words again. When it kind of bulges or like.
Yeah, it just sort of gets thick almost. Yeah.
There's a word for it and it begins with a K and I can't remember what it's called. But it's gone a little bit like that in places, but it's fine. It's definitely there, and but it's healed well. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, none of us can really sort of moan about our scars because it's the thing that's kept us alive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's never really worried me too much. I think I kind of wear it proud, and it is what it is, and it is like you said, it's kind of it's what got us here, really.
Yeah, I suppose with yours, it's probably a bit more visible, sort of, depending on what you're wearing in day-to-day life than a liver transplant, because obviously ours is sort of stomach area.
Yeah. So I suppose yours is more. You'd be more on show if like you were going swimming or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is, and I don't cover it generally unless I don't do it on purpose. It doesn't. I mean, and I don't even. My brother said to me the other day, "Do you notice people like looking at it?" And I actually don't. So it's obviously not something that's on my mind.
I've noticed kids have stared when I've been in a park with my top off and they've walked past and stuff. Kids have stared, but I find that quite funny. Kids are just they just say it how it is. They'll ask you. They'll be like, "Why have you got that?"
Yeah, well, I prefer that. Like, I would prefer it if someone like who was looking would ask me about it rather than like talk about it or whatever.
Yeah.
Come and talk to me about it.
Yeah. Talking about it, have you had many people reach out to you that have been sort of pre-transplant or anything like that?
A few. I speak to a few people mainly on Instagram,
Yeah.
and a few people through my blog. Not huge amounts, but here and there. And it's always nice to talk to people that are going through like something that you have or have gone through it before, and just to have a conversation about it, because no one else knows that situation better than transplant patients.
That's exactly it. I mean, I don't know whether when you was in hospital after your operation, whether you had anyone come and see you that was like they were just a transplant patient, nothing else.
Oh, like kind of like volunteers that come to
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few that popped by all the time at my hospital. They would just come like once a week and just come and sit there and
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
Yeah, because they only came around once at mine, but they were probably the best people that I saw because they really did put my mind at ease.
Yeah.
It was just these two lovely ladies, and they came in and they told me about all the holidays that they were still going on, and because obviously, the doctors are like, you cannot ever go in the sun, just you can't do this, and then you're thinking, can I go to a hot country? Can I do this? Can I do that? So just to hear them say, yes, we go on holiday to Greece, we go on holiday to Spain, but we're just more cautious. It really did put my mind at ease.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's like I said, when I went searching for it, you hear transplant and then you think that's it. Like, I'm not going to be able to do anything. I'm not going to be able to live. I'm not going to be, and you can do it pretty much everything that you were doing before, but just with more caution. Like, I wear factor 50 now, whereas before, probably wouldn't have put anything on.
Yeah, exactly. I was like that. I worked in Greece for ages. I don't think I wore sun cream on any days.
And now it's like, have I got my factor 50 on? Yes.
Yeah. Need to buy myself a hat and everything. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And so obviously, I mean, we were both transplanted 2019, same time. And then we were both probably, I suppose, just getting over the fact that we've had that transplant, and then COVID come along. So how was that?
Horrible. It was horrible. It's I think when it first all started happening, it's difficult because it was like that was supposed to be our year to kind of go and do the things that we haven't been able to do for however long. The first year after transplant, you have to obviously be more careful and more cautious. So
and you're just recovering physically.
Yeah, and mentally and everything else. But yeah, so it was a bit, it was crap. But you make the most of it, and you kind of it's allowed me time to recover more, I think, and to understand and process it all more. But yeah, I miss going away and doing the things that we should have been doing.
But it's scary, wasn't it? I think when it all first came around.
Yeah, really scary. And even now, it's going to be nerve-wracking going back out into day to day. I've been fairly secure. And so now starting to kind of venture out a bit more and doing more and putting yourself more at risk is nerve-wracking. But I also think the more I do it, the better I'll feel about it.
Yeah. Have you had a vaccine? Your first vaccine?
First one. Second one is in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, same. Mine's a few weeks. End of this month, I think.
But have you seen the figures and stuff?
What, for transplant patients that have got antibodies?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great, is it?
No.
But
I kind of, because people kept saying it anyway, so I expected that to be the case. But I feel because I think more and more people around us are getting it, so it kind of feels like it will be safer to be out in the world.
Yeah, I think, like you say, the more people that have it, the vaccine, it will get safer and safer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting times.
I know it's been the weirdest 2 years of my life.
Yeah.
I keep saying like I feel like I've been in a coma. Like, I got ill in
And you're just gonna
January.
wake up.
Yeah, and none
Do,
of this would have happened.
do you know what? I've actually thought that a few times myself. I thought I'm just gonna wake up and they're gonna be like, right, your operation's done now. You'd be like, what about the pandemic? And they'd be like, what pandemic?
What are you on about? No,
Yeah.
I haven't even had a heart transplant. I think that maybe like I just went into A&E and then that was it. I'm going to wake up and everything was a dream.
A dream. Did you know much about your donor?
I don't. I know that she was a 55-year-old woman, and that's all I know.
Yeah.
I haven't written my letter, which
Yeah,
I want to, but I haven't plucked up the courage to do it.
You know, it is courage. I mean, I've sat down, I think twice, and I just basically like cried and just couldn't do it. It's really, really hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
I haven't even tried, and that's actually it's annoying because that's not like me. Like I would have normally kind of even just sat down to do. I think as soon as I sit down to do it, I should be able to get something out, but it just nothing feels right.
No, it doesn't, does it?
No. Do you know much about your donor?
Same as you. I know the age and sex. So he was 22, male.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, how did you find the first Christmas after you'd had your operation?
Well, that was what that would have been Christmas 2019, wouldn't it? Yeah. I don't really remember it. Boy, how did you find it? Did you struggle?
Yeah, I found it a little bit weird in the fact that, we were sat around celebrating, and in the back of my head, I knew that was going to be the first Christmas that somebody was, their family was without their son.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was in my head definitely, and stuff like that still is always in my head. Like.
Yeah, I do think that. I sometimes think, because actually the age of the woman was the age that my mum was when I had my transplant. So it hit time that like maybe that she's got kids some that are without their mum or whatever it is. It's a weird one. People always say, someone had to die for you to live, which is true, but also like crazy and so many things.
And that person obviously was going to die. Not they didn't have to die for you to live as such. Like they were going to die anyway.
Yeah. I know it's a weird way of putting it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes you feel bad.
Yeah. When someone says that, it's like, no, they didn't have to die for me. Like, it wasn't a choice. It wasn't this like choice that they got given.
No. No, but I mean, I think the whole thing. I keep saying to myself, like, giving myself a time limit, and so I'm going to sit down and just try and do something. And I just need to do it.
Yeah. The main thing is just surviving yourself and dealing with everything there has been to deal with.
Yeah,
you're right about that after. How have your friends taken it?
So
like you say, someone so young, it's not generally something that happens in a young person's peer group.
No, I mean they've all been amazing. I've got an amazing group of friends. And I mean everyone's been incredible, and I think they've been with me like the whole way through. And I think when things happen like this, you do just have to kind of get on board with it and move with it. And I mean they've all been so supportive and incredible. And I know that there were times in hospital. I think most of the time in hospital I was okay, but there were times, and I knew I could just ring them and cry down the phone and be there. Or I had visitors every day as well when I was in hospital. I can't imagine the people that are in there now waiting because they can't have visitors because of COVID. I just imagine that, because that's what got me through.
Yeah, I'm kind of weird. I tell people that I don't want them there, but secretly it's like really nice to see someone, even if they're only there for a short period of time.
Yeah, Yeah, no, I think, yeah, I mean, you have to do it short stages because
Yeah.
it gets too much sometimes.
Yeah.
I always told whoever was coming that they had to bring food because the
Yeah.
food was awful. So I was like, you can come, but can you bring me dinner?
Yeah. There was a Marks and Spencer's in my hospital, and it did all like freshly baked, it had like a freshly baked counter thing. So that was my routine of a morning, when I was just able to walk, would be to walk down there, get myself loads of freshly baked goods and just sit in my room eating all day.
Oh, that's amazing. No, we had no such luxury.
Yeah, no, the dinners were definitely not nice.
It
I
was
think I was tempted to get a takeaway because obviously you can probably get like Uber Eats and stuff now.
Oh yeah, I got lots of takeaway.
Did you? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got Domino's, we got Thai, I got a couple of Nando's.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah, I think.
I don't think the doctor. I had a bottle of hot sauce on my hospital table. Like it was just my mum would bring me one up every 2 weeks because I
Yeah.
couldn't get through it. And I remember one of my consultants coming in and looking at the salt content, and he was like, you can't be eating that." And I was like, "Please, everything's making the food edible." And he was like, "Okay, but like this much every day." And I was like, "Fine."
Yeah, right. It's just tipping it on.
I was putting in teaspoons and drinking it.
Yeah, hospital food is definitely not something you can live on for a long time.
No, no,
No,
it is not nice.
no. Well, thank you very much for talking to me. It's been really interesting.
Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome. It was nice to chat.
Yeah, and so where would you go next on your holiday if you could fly somewhere tomorrow?
I think if I was going to go anywhere, it would be Australia, just because I haven't seen people there for so many years.
Yeah.
So that's next on the list. But I think in terms of exploring, I want to see more of America. I'd like to do a bit of a road trip around America. And actually, for my 30th with my friend, we were going to go to Vegas and then do a bit of a California road trip, but we're postponing it. So hopefully we'll be able to go potentially next year, depending on the state of the world. And yeah, that would be, hire a convertible and drive around.
Fly around America.
Yeah, it'd be incredible.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Really, really good. Well, thank you very much, Hannah. And I'll put a link up to your blog, Travels, Tea and Transplant, so that anyone listening, they can come and find you and say hello.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll learn a lot as well just reading through. It's lots of information.
Oh, I hope so. I hope it helps someone.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Hannah. See you later.
Bye.
Bye bye.